There seems to be a preference to discuss ongoing conflict or recent conflict between Muslims and Jews through many lenses except the Holy Quran. They want to look at it from a human rights lens. They want to look at it from a political lens. Who's indigenous to the land? Who came from Europe and who didn't come from Europe? Is Hamas the legitimate ruler of the Palestinians? Is Mahmoud Abbas someone who's a dictator sitting in office for exceeding his term limit by many years? How exactly do we manage this?
Who does the land of Israel belong to according to the Quran? Take a look at this clip over here with Imam Tawhidi. He goes through some of the history, and you're going to want to watch it till the end because he really goes through a thorough, clear approach to who the land of Israel belongs to. And the answer may surprise you. So take a look over here at this clip. We'll watch it together and then talk about it. But first, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
The rulers in the Middle East, with their wisdom and with their quick thinking and strategic planning, came to the result that 70 years plus of investing into the Palestinian cause was an absolute waste. It was a waste of resources, it was a waste of valuable time, and above all, it was a waste of very important opportunities for Muslims, for the Middle East in general. And again, the only book that matters in this regard is the Holy Quran. As a Muslim and as Muslims, and even when dealing with outright extremists and Islamists, there seems to be a preference to discuss ongoing conflict or recent conflict between Muslims and Jews through many lenses except the Holy Quran. They want to look at it from a human rights lens. They want to look at it from a political lens. Who's indigenous to the land? Who came from Europe and who didn't come from Europe? Is Hamas the legitimate ruler of the Palestinians? Is Mahmoud Abbas someone who's a dictator sitting in office for exceeding his term limit by many years? How exactly do we manage this? No one ever wants to discuss what exactly does the Quran say, because that is the ultimate Islamic constitution. There is no constitution for a Muslim individual higher than the Holy Quran. We are ordered to obey the laws of the countries we live in because the Quran tells us to do so. So we follow what is God's law and not what is man's law as a main priority. And again, we believe that man's law, constitutions that we have, traffic laws, all of these laws that we abide by and we follow on a day-to-day basis, these are laws that are there to organize our affairs. We will not be asked on the Day of Judgment about these man-made laws. We will be asked about whether we violated the Holy Quran or not. This is from a Muslim standpoint. And therefore, we need to always refer back to the Holy Quran, because that is how you put the Islamist in a corner. If you want the Islamists to run around free, then you allow them to distance themselves from the Holy Quran. But if you say, no, I want to stick to the Holy Quran, you're a Muslim, this is your identity, and at least I have it between my hands, or I can Google it and I can view it online. This is exactly what you believe in, because you will not dare to oppose it. So let's see what it says. Chapter 5, verse 20 onwards, and I say this, and this is very important, verses 20 onwards is a clear declaration, a crystal clear declaration by God Almighty that the Holy Land, known as Israel and Jerusalem and Sinai, and it is much greater than the borders of Israel today. All of that was granted to the Jewish people. I'll give you a very quick idea of what this land looks like. If we start from the Gulf of Oman, all the way down to where Arabia begins, by the Gulf of Oman, and we go up, we have Saudi Arabia, Oman, Yemen, the UAE, all the way up to the Jordan River. That is Arabia. That is the land of the Arabs. That is where the Arabian tribes originate from. Across the Jordanian River is the land of the Jewish people, and that is Judea. And it comes all the way down to northern Egypt and it includes many waters, and it includes lands much greater than what the Jews are claiming today. So we need to be very realistic as to how we deal with the Holy Quran, so we do not violate the teachings of the Holy Quran. In these verses chapter 5 verse 20 onwards, God Almighty says very clearly, and it's an order that he orders Moses, his prophet Moses, to enter the Holy Land, meaning to claim the Holy Land, because the verses also say, and do not retreat and do not leave it, otherwise you would be losers. You would lose this struggle for truth versus falsehood. And therefore, the Jewish people were ordered to enter the Holy Land and claim it, meaning Jerusalem. However, because there were tyrants ruling Jerusalem at the time, and there were people who were targeting and killing Jews, some Jews that were part of the congregation of Moses and who were traveling with Moses refrained from entering the Holy Land out of fear that they would be persecuted. And that is a very natural position to have when you are a minority wandering in the desert. Very normal and very natural. And therefore, the Islamist claim here is that God ordered the Jewish people to enter the Holy Land and they did not enter it, therefore they are not entitled to it, and that is nonsense, because what stands is the desire of God. What stands is the order of God, what God wanted to do with that land and who he assigned that land for. And it is very clear that the land was given to the Jewish people. Whether 40, 44, 50 Jews decide to enter or not really doesn't make a difference, because what's important is whether Moses himself entered or not. And God forbid one says that Moses disobeyed God and that he did not enter the land and that he did not claim it for Judaism and for the Jewish people. This again is from a religious standpoint. Moses is from the Holy Land. The Israeli tribes are from the Holy Land, but this is a religious grant. This is a religious order for God, from God for Moses, the same way the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his family was from Mecca, was from Quraysh, yet we believe he was ordered to claim Mecca as the capital of the Muslim state, the Muslim world, the Muslim Ummah. And therefore, we believe that the legitimacy of the Prophet Muhammad's claim over Mecca is multi-layered. One is that he is from the land, and secondly, the tribes of Quraysh that ruled Mecca submitted to him. And on top of that, he was ordered by God. The same applies to Moses. Moses is from the Holy Land. He was the head of the tribes at the time. He was the one being followed. He was their leader. The Torah was revealed onto him, and he was ordered to enter the Holy Land. He is indigenous, and his people were indigenous to this Holy Land. And on top of that, we have the overwhelming majority of prophets within Islamic thought, all the way from Abraham coming down to Jesus. And yes, we believe in Jesus. All of these prophets were Jewish prophets, and they were from the Bani Israel, from the Israelites. And therefore, claiming that the land does not belong to them, you have made all of God's prophets and their nations stateless. Therefore, the Islamist argument is extremely weak, whether you look at it from the verses of the Holy Quran, or you look at it from basic understanding of how the world operated at the time. It is our vision to see a peace between Muslims and Jews that is founded upon the truth, not founded upon politics. We want a peace that is genuine, that is everlasting, one that makes our father Abraham proud of his children, both the Arabs and the Jews. And I would like to mention that the recent developments, most importantly, the fatwa against Hamas that was issued by the Islamic Fatwa Council in March, has been received greatly by many states in the Middle East and many important leading organizations in the Middle East and the West that have been struggling to target the Muslim Brotherhood in a way that allows one to point the finger at Hamas. So yes, we know the Muslim Brotherhood is a designated terrorist entity in the UAE, throughout the Gulf. But to say Hamas itself, this was a precedent that has been set by the Islamic Fatwa Council. It was so important that the FDD weighed in. And again, if you haven't heard about this, please rush to Google and Google Fatwa against Hamas. This just happened a few weeks ago. It's a big deal. This sets a precedent for holding Hamas accountable in courts across the Muslim world. It is Islamically binding. What makes it even more special is that the Fatwa Council is both Sunni and Shia. This is law. This is law. So you can't run away from law. And when it says you cannot join or donate or pray to Hamas, pray for Hamas or support them in any way, you basically isolated them. And this weakens them and reduces their ability to fundraise within holy Islamic cities and have their charity boxes everywhere they go. And we see now they've been shown the door throughout Iraq. Whenever Hamas wants to come and present itself as the representative of the Palestinian people, they've been shown the door by numerous grand ayatollahs and their officers. I want to touch lastly, and I want to conclude with this, that the regime in Iran is making some progress in its view. We don't think it's progress. We think it's a danger that one should never deal with the Iranian regime, no matter what happens, no matter what the relationship with America is, no matter what the situation in the region is. Iran, the regime, should always be a red line. It should never be dealt with. Should never be allowed any space to speak. This is an illegitimate regime. They have zero respect for human rights. I don't know how they sit on United Nations human rights committees, especially for women. They kill women in Iran and then hold women's fashion exhibitions in Geneva. Let's not waste time. Time is very valuable. And I think the Gulf states being pushed towards a relationship with Iran or restoring relations, it needs to be understood that Iran is not coming from a strong position here. Iran is coming from a weak position, but still it should not be in that position where it is given the time of day. We want this regime to go. We want to see a democratic and free Iran that is friends with the Jewish people, that restores stability to the region. Much of the conflict for the last 40 years between the Palestinians and the Jewish state is largely fueled by the regime and its propaganda and its Quds March and so on. If you pay attention to what I just said, the position of the Arabs towards the Palestinians, because the Palestinians are not Arabs. The Palestinians do not descend from Arabian tribes. They are Arabized. The Palestinians are nations. They are the remnants of the Romans, of the Turks, of the Circassians, of the Gypsies, of the nations that ruled this land. And any Arab who is genuinely a descendant of the Arabian tribes, who is living in the Palestinian regions, then he belongs in Arabia. He's indigenous, they're indigenous to Arabia. They're not indigenous to Judea. The Palestinians are Arabized. Let's not mix these things up. We have, for example, Egypt calling itself the Arab Republic of Egypt. They're Africans. They're Arabized Africans because of the spread of Islam. They will never descend from the Arabian tribes in Yemen. It did not happen, will not happen. So let's differentiate. And this is very important because when they say the Arab cause, that means Saudi Arabia is responsible for the Palestinian cause, the UAE is responsible. But if we say, hang on, you are not Arab. You speak Arabic, you read Arabic, you probably speak Arabic better than many Arabs in Arabia, that's fine. But you are not Arabs in the sense that whatever you are involved in should involve the Arab world, especially when you go back and you stab the Arab world in the back after feeding you and protecting you and going to war for you for 70 years. So Saudi Arabia will keep going until it sees there's no hope. And right now, Saudi Arabia is on the verge where there is no hope, really. We see the dialogue between the Saudis and the Palestinians. One side gives aid, the other side insults them. One side gives aid, the other side takes the pictures of the Saudi king to Temple Mount and sets it on fire. So eventually patience will run out, and you have Mohammed bin Salman, who is a young man, does not have time for any of this. He'll continue to maintain the Saudi position as the country of Mecca and Medina, the country that embraces the house of God, and defend the interests of Islam. But if ultimately that is going to harm the interests of Saudi Arabia, then look, aid will come to you. We wish you all the best, but we can't continue keeping our interests hostage because you guys do not want peace. And as for a two-state, Palestinians already have 3 states. Jordan is majority Palestinian. That is a Palestinian state. It's a state with Palestinians. The Jordanian king is a Saudi. He's not a Jordanian. Jordan is a new invention. So the Palestinian regions before 1948 also exist in the area now known as Jordan. That is also a Palestinian state. Gaza is a Palestinian state. The West Bank is a Palestinian region. What makes a state? What is necessary to make a state? You have a head of state, and you have the economy, and you have the military. These are the 3 essential needs for a country to call itself a state. There are countries that don't have armies, yes, but they have alliances with NATO and so on. All of these Ministry of Sports, Ministry of Health, these are not necessary to call yourself a state. So it's the economy, it's the military, and it's the head of state. And Palestinians have that in 3 different places.
Fascinating. Thank you so much. Just out of curiosity, how is your message usually received?
Well, my message prior to 2020 was seen as super controversial. Now it's, well, if the Muslim states are on board, then it's normal. It's very normal. I'm the vice president of a council with 1,400 imams, Sunni and Shia, and I was voted in by a majority vote. And I haven't had any problems with my position at all. I still roam freely in Iraq, in the Islamic seminaries. Look, these are facts. What did I say today? Nothing that violates the Holy Quran. It's just facts and the verses of the Holy Quran. There's nothing to fear when you are preaching for the truth. And again, I'm a religious man. If I was to pass away today and I'm asked about my actions tomorrow, we have to behave as though every day is our last day. There's no room here to violate God in any way.
So I thought that this was an excellent presentation, really going through a bit of the history in a very easy, palatable way. Some of the theology was a bit different from the Torah perspective, in the sense that, according to them, Moses, it seems, went into the Holy Land, whereas in Judaism, Moses never enters into the Holy Land. But we wind up in the same place, that the land of Israel belongs to the Jewish people. And there's multiple ways that people make the argument, that people make the indigenous peoples argument, people make the international law argument, people make the survival argument as to why the land of Israel currently belongs to the Jewish people. But the ultimate, I have to agree with the Imam over here, that the ultimate reason that the land of Israel belongs to the Jewish people is because of the promise that God gave to Abraham, reestablished with Isaac and Jacob, all the way down the line. It's the thing that you can see consistently within Jewish history. Anytime they've been in the diaspora, and when they pray 3 times a day, no matter where they are in the world, where do they turn to? Jerusalem. That is the heart, that is the center, that is the nucleus of what God gave to the Jewish people, and it's our eternal hope, always is, always was, to return to the land and to serve God in the way that the Torah mandates. So kudos to Imam Tawhidi over here, and I hope that his message continues to spread throughout the Islamic world. And if you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.